Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and today I'm thrilled to be talking about the movie Nuked. I'm joined today by actor Anna Camp and actor and executive producer Justin Bartha. Justin, I actually wanted to start with you and talking about some of the early conversations that you had with Dina Kashber, who's the writer and director of this piece, because I know that she originally sent you the script when we were all quarantined, early pandemic days, and the two of you had a lot of conversations about the script and relationships during that time. And I was interested in how that helped you to build a really deep relationship with this character to then play him in the movie.
Yeah, yeah. Dina sent me this script, as you said, during the pandemic, and we ended up, because we were locked down, our industry was closed down, everything. So we kind of took it as an opportunity to talk every night. Sometimes we would, smoke a joint together because it is a stoner comedy, and it became like these therapy sessions. And just riffing on what we were experiencing personally. We're both married, and certainly our relationships were changing, and then also just like our friends, what our friends were going through, what we were talking about. It seemed like every single couple that I knew were either getting separated, getting divorced, opening their marriage, finding old flames and like rekindling flames, while we're all dealing with what we thought could possibly be the end of the world. So it was just like, for an independent movie, it felt like such a kind of a treasure to have this time to really think about relationships and honesty in relationships during this very odd time.
No, definitely. And Anna, there's an interesting aspect in looking at your character because she has this very newfound success as a podcast host that is also very personal in what she discusses and reveals on it as well. And so we kind of see the side of herself that she is trying to present to the world and that voice that she's figuring out. And then when that's taken away, when they don't have their devices and they don't have their phones, then stripping back and looking at who is she without that. And so I was interested in kind of how you found the dichotomy of those two different sides of her.
Yeah, I was actually just saying one of my favorite things about playing this character is that she is almost two different people. And there's that breakthrough scene where the truth is revealed about, her wanting to have a child and whatnot. But she's presenting this like very perfect, controlled person in the beginning. And it's this whole thing and like what she's wearing down to her hair and how like I decided to flip my hair out like that. It's all very, this is who I am and you're gonna love me and da 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 da. So finally, when she breaks and she gets to be honest, and there's that scene in the basement between the two of them, it just was so freeing and also just one of the most challenging scenes for me because you're going to have a painful conversation with someone and you've been presenting this entire facade of who you are to them. So it was a really great arc, I felt like. And to be honest, the character wasn't quite written to have in the beginning, like Jill wanted to have children. So it was like we flipped it and we turned it around because I thought, well, wouldn't it be more interesting if she actually didn't want to and she did want to continue to pursue her podcast and her career was more important to her at this moment. So yeah, I just thought that there were so many wonderful things that I got to play with her and so many things were revealed
Yeah.
that were fun. That's always fun as an actor is to get to play a secret and then to finally reveal it.
No, definitely. And I also feel like there's such a direct impact with your character, Justin, because there's aspects of him kind of trying to figure out, well, how do I fit into this? The dynamic that we had as a couple has now changed as well. And, his friends are telling him, you can give up your job, you don't need to, because she's making money now. And, he doesn't necessarily want to share his private life, but he's trying to, even the outfit he's wearing, he's been dressed by her. And for you, what was the impact that you found, or just some of the elements of a guy who's kind of figuring out what is my identity now that some things have changed in this relationship?
I mean, listen, to go back to what I was saying before, part of what attracted me to this project and this character, I was going through a lot of similar kind of themes that we deal with in this movie in my real life. During the pandemic, my wife launched a fitness app that became like crazy successful. And then I was all of a sudden like dealing, like she was being stopped on the street, and she had this notoriety, and she became, uh, really involved with social media and all of these things that kind of some were in there and some we folded in. So I was it it was kind of therapeutic developing the script, but then like the whole thing was like therapy for me, because I was just kind of living it. Um, and I was like, beyond excited that Anna ended up playing my wife, and I got to work it out all on her.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah. Have I said thank you? Okay.
No, but I'm just
All right. I'll think about it.
okay.
And I was also curious about what you found in playing a character who is kind of finding this newfound success for herself for the first time, really. And it's the first time that she's really felt successful. And, she's finding that she really likes having this community and this audience and all of these new connections. Because again, it kind of brings up a lot of questions of self for her.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like when you start a podcast, I don't think she didn't know if she was going to be relatable. Like you don't know if people are going to respond to the content that you're putting out. And this her content is incredibly personal, especially as we see in the very opening scene. But when you're like, oh, like people like me, like people are laughing at my stories, or they're feeling moved, or I'm helping people change their lives in some small way, like that's exciting for her. And I think that it's very empowering for her. And so I was like very um I just was excited to have her decide to say, listen, I might want to have children in the future, but right now, like I'm really feeling empowered by this, and that's okay. And I'm going to choose this. I just want, you, my husband. Yes, I should never have lied to you, and I shouldn't have kept that huge thing from you. But is it okay to have the success? Like, are you okay with me doing that? I don't want our marriage to end. I want to continue to grow with you, but I'm choosing this. Can you support me in that? And I think that's a conversation that a lot of couples should have more often. I don't think that they do. And I think the most successful couples have those conversations.
Yeah, it actually felt interesting to watch their dynamic as a couple and see these aspects of both of them having to confront things, but both wanting to work back towards each other throughout all the conversations that they're having. And so I wanted to ask you both about if that was something that you both found in the script and in this relationship and playing it early on as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Anna and I certainly like discuss, one of the main things we discussed was like they love each other. I mean, they've been together for 20 years. They grew up together in a way. And I think, one of the big schisms in their relationship is Jack, the character that I played, doesn't want to move on. He kind of wants to keep things the way they were. And Anna is evolving. Her character, Jill, is evolving, and she's basically, becoming a butterfly and finding her true self. And Jack is worried that he's going to be left behind. So I think it's like and I do want to stress that it is a comedy.
I know.
But just like couples evolve at different rates, and it's just super interesting to see the conflict between them. Also in certainly fold in a nuclear bomb in the end of the world, and see like how do we accelerate the truth that has to come out and the conversations that have to happen before the world ends.
Yeah. And because you bring up so aptly that, it is of course a comedy, there's so many tonal shifts. There are these heartfelt moments of connectivity and kind of real conversations about their relationship or with their friends. But then there's also this comedic beat that will suddenly come in, or a physical comedy moment. And so I wanted to ask you about just both of you kind of finding those tonal shifts, because it's not necessarily this scene is this scene is this. They're all kind of a little bit of everything.
Yes, and we also shot a lot of it out of order. So, we were talking about also we have to maintain what level of high or drunk we are on top of all of that. So we're playing all of these layers. Where are we at emotionally? How much information does he know? How high am I? How panicked am I? All of it going on at once. It was definitely like juggling a lot of fun things to play as an actor though, because I would rather have more things thrown at me than not. Like it was really every day was exciting. Every day we were like, okay, team, where are we? How high are you? How high are you? And that kind of thing. So it really brought us closer together, I think, as a cast also, which was really fun.
Was that similar for you, Justin?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're obviously we're dealing with some these big themes of the end of the world and relationships changing. But when you step back, to me, I find it all so ridiculous and so fun. Like when you think of, now that time has healed a little bit of the wound of the pandemic, where you're like, we were all wearing masks, walking around, like afraid to like be with each other, and then all of these, these relationships, in my opinion, it's great. I look at people going through divorces or separation or everything. It's a great thing because they're finding out that the thing that they were in wasn't working. And so much of that is just people not being honest with people are so afraid to be honest with each other, especially couples. And when you step back, you're like, it's ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? So much of the movie, besides the kind of, I call it a Russian doll of anxiety of like all of the, the bomb and the being stoned and trying to deal with each other, is just the frustration with reality of what exactly how have we been living our lives, and now we have just one more day to figure it out.
And because you were both bringing up that obviously there's the added facet of everybody's completely high because they've all consumed a cannabis infused, 3-course meal at this point. And it's kind of fun because every character has a different personality when they get high in the movie. How did you both determine what you felt your personality type for your character would be in response to that?
Oh man.
I mean, the group, it's such an amazing ensemble of talented, funny actors, and I think like we all really vibe together, and it became like this natural puzzle of everyone kind of filling in where the other one left off. But for me, I mean, this guy again, it's like looking at like he's kind of tight. He's a stoner in the first place, and he wants everyone to kind of be on his level. And I think that control, that the lack of control, I thought was such a key for everyone's character of how, when you give up that control, which so much of what drugs is, where then do you go as a character and where does the comedy come from? So the frustration I find is the funniest thing always.
How about for you, Anna?
I mean, I definitely wanted Jill in the beginning when she was getting high to be very relaxed and very happy because I knew I had to make that jump to her being extraordinarily anxious and have that panic attack. So I wanted to make sure that she started off like just really free and happy and giggly and like kind of having the best night of her life. That turned into the worst night of her life. So I wanted to make sure that those were very opposite things that I got to play.
It also feels like that allows both of you and the rest of the cast to go for some of the bigger choices and the more heightened emotional responses because what they're facing with the idea that everybody gets a text in the country saying, there's a nuclear missile coming, like take shelter, that's already hugely dramatic. And then you add the fact that they're all completely high at this birthday party and sequestered. How do you feel like that allowed you to kind of lean into some bigger choices and bigger moments?
Well, when the circumstances are that extraordinary, yes, you have to keep them coming from a grounded place. But how fun and entertaining! Like, why play it safe in those moments? Like, take the big swings. Like, this is a comedy. This is like a really fun, wild ensemble comedy. So I just remember Dina being like, "Go for it! Like, swing big, swing hard. There are no wrong choices here." And I feel like that like really makes the movie pop, and it really brought, I think, everybody together. And there are those heartfelt, softer scenes mixed with those extraordinarily kind of big swing scenes. So I think that that's why the movie is super entertaining to watch, and I just had the most fun making it.
And Justin, for you with Jack, they've been having these conversations, planning to have a kid, and then he makes the discovery of my wife is actually still on birth control. So clearly, the conversation that we're having isn't that we're not on the same page after all. How did you decide how you wanted Jack to play it? Because there's a fun aspect of the audience knows, he knows, but the other characters don't know. So you don't want to fully give it away.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a big thing that Dina and we all talked about is how and when to reveal that information to Anna's character, and especially like you're juggling these big reveal. It's like he has to digest it, but then the nuclear bomb comes, and then it's like it's a balancing act of when to actually reveal it. But to me, there was so much fun playing the secret with Anna, and it's like they're supposed to be celebrating this birthday and this wonderful like homecoming with their friends, and he is this guy that has this awful secret that he has to digest for a little while. And then you get to see kind of, how weird is he acting? How does he actually, take this in, and how does it change everything?
Yeah. Did you both also find that there's almost a becoming of an age aspect to this movie as well? Because they're both there celebrating their 40th birthday, and that's a time when culturally and societally we constantly are like, well, what are you doing with your life? Do you feel like you're wet? We ask everybody to reassess at that point.
Yes, I mean my 40th birthday was not like not exactly like this, but there was like a I'm turning 40. Oh my God.
Yeah, in your
What have
head.
I accomplished? What do I want to accomplish? I still feel like I'm 26 sometimes, you know what I mean? But yet I'm literally I'm turning into my mother. You know what I mean? It's like it's just such a crazy time. Turning 30 to me was not as crazy as turning 40. There was something really big about that one. So yeah, it's definitely like a wake up call a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuclear bombs in this movie, not just the literal one.
Yeah.
I love that. And I also wanted to ask you about filming the scene towards the end where Jill just kind of like starts dancing. It's like everything's going to be okay, I think.
Yeah.
Because I've heard you say that you felt a lot of freedom in filming that moment. And so I just wanted to ask about getting to do that scene.
Well, I remember going, how are we going to do this scene?
Yeah.
It was one of the last scenes that we shot, and everybody else is like sitting on the couch and they like, you're hurt, you can't even really move. And I'm trying to like inspire everybody. And I was like, Dina, I'm just gonna like, I guess, dance around and like get everybody to laugh and enjoy. But I just was like, just go for it, right? Like I hate when people are like just stand in front of the camera and like we'll get the shot and we'll like Dina let me play. She let me go around and I felt like it was just I felt like it was a great way to end the movie because Jill's back. She's free. She's been honest. She's got her man. He's supporting her. At the end of the day, there's no bomb coming. There's a lot to celebrate in this moment. So yeah, it was a fun time. But I remember thinking, how are we going to do this? And I was like, I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna dance and see what
I
happens.
remember when that happened, and we, I remember thinking like watching Anna dance and making these choices, and I'm being like, that's why she's the best. This is why Anna Kemp is the greatest. Because even now in hindsight, looking at that scene, there's something like so perfect about after a nuclear attack, after like all of this terrible shit that happened, and there's still secrets, and there's still so much stuff to work out. All you can do is just dance. It's like such a perfect metaphor for after we went through the pandemic, after we're going through all the stuff that we're all going through collectively. What can you do?
It's a
Might as well have
party. It's all a party,
all
guys.
a party.
Come on. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the movie. Thank you so much for talking about it. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. So good to see you.